second round for the Soviets. In 32 series
Okay, yep, it's working. Okay.
Blooper reel.
Let's forget about editing that one out. Dobry dzień towarzysz, welcome to the Russian Bias Podcast. We're off to a rocky start, but then again, it seems like most of the things in this community seem to go off to a rocky start anyway. So, that's fitting. Today's
Just
discussion...
putting the point out there already.
Yeah, you know, you gotta get to the point right away, right?
Okay.
Discussion topics. War Thunder's, pretty much War Thunder's release of 1.41. Tanks, what's going on with that, what's right and wrong, why are people upset, why are people happy, why do people have mixed feelings. Not much to really talk about Roll of Tanks right now because, I mean, they're pretty much just kind of resting on their laurels
chugging
right
along.
now. Yeah. Meanwhile, I can't really do anything, which is a little upsetting. Still, I mean, you got your E100 finally, didn't you?
Yes,
You
I
got
actually
your
did.
E100
I know you
before
people
I
out
did.
there that probably, yeah, well, yeah.
Before I got my
because,
tier 10.
you know, because my computer isn't, you know, a nuclear microwave that, it didn't die. Okay, we're gonna bring that up like every single episode, aren't we?
We're probably gonna bring it up until I get a replacement.
Until you finally get a new computer.
Because I'm relying on you for like most of the information here, more or less.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah. Aside from the E100 though, you did actually get to play a little bit of War Thunder's tanks.
Yes, I did. I downloaded it on the day that it came out, and because I was like, wait, 1.41 came out today, and I was like, oh, I should actually like download it, and I've been having a lot of fun. I'm sure a lot of people have been having a lot of fun, and a lot of people have been a bit frustrated as well, because yes, including the Gregor rant person that hasn't even played it yet, but whatever.
Hey, that while you were downloading an update, I was making a stupid video that I didn't expect to get
that
a
I
lot
inspired.
Yeah, so.
Oh gosh.
those the two.
And I will admit, it's a
we
funny
got the
video.
two
If you
opposite
haven't
ends of the
listened-
spectrum here. We got people who are frustrated with the direction it's going in, and people who are a little bit more optimistic about it. So I guess that's a good balance of the two viewpoints there.
And just a point, if you haven't seen the video yet, just go to Greg's videos and see this lemon grab one, because regardless of what you think of Gaijin and Wargaming and whatnot, it's just funny. Like, oh gosh.
All right. Well, so was finally take tanks and open it up to the masses. In other words, you didn't have to like do the
challenges.
Silly, like the silly challenges and or the lottery tickets or whatever. I actually got an invite April 26th, and I just kind of looked at it and I just kind of looked at it and debated with myself. Now, if I still had a computer, would I go, or would I have actually like downloaded it? I probably would have went because I'm a cynical old man, but see, this is the thing: is that if I let my if I go too far, I'm just gonna end up going into a Gaijin rant, and that's what I don't want.
Yes, you will.
That's what I don't want this to be. So, I'm just gonna try and
try and let it go.
Try and give a more objective, yeah, objective approach to it. Okay, personally, I think it's cool. I think ground forces are cool. There's a lot of very interesting concepts that are being experimented with in the context of this game. Like I mean, the last game I can really think of that ever did like the whole vehicle combat thing on such a large scale was probably like what was that Star Wars Clone Wars game? Remember that?
Oh,
With
the
like the with the
one
Republic
from, like,
tank.
05 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 04.
Gosh, that
like
was forever ago.
But
But
there was things like that.
yeah. But it's remained, I mean, more or less a relatively untouched sort of thing. Like we've seen a whole bunch of World War II sims and World War II flight sims, things of that nature. But we haven't really seen a lot to do with tanks, at least on an authentic level or a more realistic, gritty level. And
Well, at least I would say, completely dedicated to that. They're like, for example, like the Arma 2 and the I-44. Those are very, very focused on the realistic shooter and realistic vehicle mechanics. Same with oh gosh, if I can remember it.
but it's done in like the context of a first-person shooter. No mean to interrupt.
Yes, it is.
right?
It is. Yeah, and the same with like Red Orchestra 2, but yeah, they've never really focused solely on like the armored elements, like War Thunder and like World of Tanks did. There haven't really been anything that could compare to that. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot going for it. I mean, what I really like about it, in my observations of it, and we can get into the structuring of it and some of the underlying components of it later. But the first thing that struck me, at least when I saw the testing of it that was revealed at, I think it was an Igramir 2013 for the first time, was just just the way it looked. Like it's a very nice looking game.
Yeah, it looks really good.
And it revolves mainly around how they've taken a look at the tank models themselves. Because they're looking at it, they're like, okay, yeah, environments are cool and all, but you care about the tank, right? You're gonna be looking at that thing most of the time, so make the tank look good, and it looks good. It's a contrast to what you normally see in a more arcadey arena style base game like World of Tanks, where everything looks really really shiny and pristine, and it's still got that rough tonk feel to it. I mean, it looks like a tank, but in War Thunder it looks like a battle-worn war machine, and that's
there's a lot more.
The presentation value from the graphics to the sound design, it's presented very well. It looks awesome. So there's
a lot more gritty details to the tanks. Just hard to explain, but even with the camo patterns and the different things that you can like put on the tanks, I mean, you can still tell that it's worn, that it's torn, that it's rugged. Which is kind of exactly what they're going for, and I really like that approach.
Yeah,
I really like that approach. It's really coming from World of Tanks. It's not a bad looking game at all, but just playing War Thunder Ground Forces and looking at these vehicles and seeing how they move, how they feel. Turning and different things like that. It just feels so. What's the word for it? It does feel more realistic, but that's not really the word I'm looking for.
Authentic.
Yeah, I think that's a better term. Like, for example, I pulled up War Thunder.
a little bit more.
Yeah, I pulled up War Thunder just to get a mind of like how the vehicles look, and you can see like say like on the end of the end of the armor towards the front is where it's the most dirty on the tracks and on the side. You can see all the splotches of mud and dirt and all that stuff, and all the metal does not look pristine. It looks
off,
they're welding mishaps every once in a while. Yeah, things like that. It looks weathered. This is just with the German tanks. I don't have that many Russians to compare it to, but you can see like parts of the metal and chains that are broken and different things like that. Nothing looks like it's brand new. Okay, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I think it looks fine because that's what they're going for. Just the same as I look at World of Tanks. And I'd say, yeah, those look great. They look good because they look nice, pristine, and new, and the camouflage patterns look nice, and everything's neatly placed. It's really. They both look good, but I think War Thunders go for this authentic look, this war-torn look, was a very conscious choice, and one that has probably earned them a bit more praise in the looks department.
Yes. Definitely. And I think that's it's an interesting development though, because you look at the competition between Wargaming and Gaijin right now, and you have two things that both of the companies tried to put out in order to get it to the market and get it to the masses. You had obviously the ground forces for Gaijin's War Thunder, and then Wargaming's World of Warplanes. Now, World of Warplanes came out way too quickly. Way too quickly, in my observation of it.
I would agree.
I think they got what I think they did too much, and this again kind of goes to how you need to try to find a firm balance between presentation value and meta game. They focus so much on the meta game and the development and the structuring of it for World of Warplanes that it doesn't seem like they really paid attention to the graphics or the presentation, or how the game looked.
Yeah.
What's the sound design like? How do the planes, look? Does it play well? How do they look when they're flying around in the sky? Is it flashy? Is it colorful? And people care about graphics. World of Warplanes definitely has demonstrated that. The audience for that game isn't very vocal or very large. Sorry to any avid World of Warplanes viewers here. But I think even they would, agree to maybe a small degree that when you juxtapose the dedicated community of World of Warplanes versus World of Tanks or War Thunder, it's not that high. And what they tried to do with tanks is focus a lot on the presentation and focus a lot on how it looked and how it felt and everything all in that department. And you have a really, really nice looking game. I'm at this like sneezing. I'm at the midway between sneezing and not sneezing. Hold on. Okay, am I good? Okay.
I think you're good.
Okay. That's such a weird feeling. Anyway, but that kind of gets to what I'm gonna tie that point into with 1.41 is that Gaijin. What do you think? You think they kind of jumped the gun with tanks, or you think they're kind of approaching it the way they ought to at this point?
I think they dug themselves a bit of a hole when they did this betaception, the beta within the beta. And I think what they were trying to achieve is that, they're like, well, people have been asking us to open it up, and to just let everybody do it. And I think they finally decided to do that. While it may have been a more rushed decision, perhaps, it happened shortly after, we actually made our first Russian bias video.
Yeah.
Or commentary. And I was like, You know, I mean, surely we didn't have an impact on that. You know, I would assume we didn't. You know, but we're small time, but you know, I just thought it was kind of ironic. You know,
looking at you, sir. No.
But you know, I can't say I disagree with the decision because it looks great. It feels great. Just almost everything about it is just fantastic. You know, incorporating it into the whole game mechanic, you know, that may have taken a bit more time and a bit more testing, but ground forces alone is quite good. And in that, to that point, yes, I think they made a good decision in releasing it. In releasing it combined, you know, without really getting the best feel for how it's going to work, you know, for the masses, I'm not sure. Only time will really tell about that. But just, you know, as far as releasing the ground forces, I think they made a fairly wise choice.
Okay. So now we get into the grit of the show. All right. Okay. So Matt, you would say that it was a fairly wise choice to reveal it at the time they did wait, like back in the fall last year with the whole closed beta?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's where we disagree. And again, this is complete. We viewers, we still have complete mutual respect with each other, but you know, that's I think we had a conversation about this yesterday. How you can be friends with a lot of people, but you don't necessarily have to agree with every single thing they say. Anyway, here's why I don't like it. For one, I think they really jumped the gun. I think they looked at the hype, they looked at the rumors that were spreading around within the community. They looked at it and they were just like, oh my gosh, you know, people really want tanks. What do we do? What do we do? And they were like, just give them tanks then. Give them tanks. Well, we should only give a couple people tanks, because if we give them all tanks, then they're going to look at it and then they're going to just go, oh gosh, this is a load of crap. What are you doing? This is terrible. Because, you know, the more you hype something up, it's like you take like a champagne bottle and you just keep like shaking it up and shaking it up and shaking it up, and then when you finally uncork it, I think I might have made this analogy in the last episode actually, but when you finally uncork it, it you know, it freaking gets everywhere, and it, you know, either simmer down or it'll take a while for it to stop, right? And I think they came across the same problem with the War Thunder community, because they realized if they kept shaking it up and shaking it up and shaking it up, it's going to come out, and then people are going to be like, what? This can't make me sandwiches. This doesn't bear children. What? This is horrible. So, I understand the reasoning behind it. What I don't necessarily agree with, and this is probably just coming from my standpoint as a guy who was heavily invested in War Thunder's air branch anyway. I even, you know, even as I saw the tanks footage coming out and the rumors of it, I still reserved a little bit of, you know, okay, that's cool, but I'm a flyboy at heart, and that's where I'm gonna probably stay for the most part. Interestingly enough, kind of a side note here, when I was playing IL-2 growing up, like my main role actually revolved around ground attack, and the only real reason I never really got into it much in War Thunder was because of how the missions were structured, and it was just kind of like, you know, it wasn't as glamorous, right?
Yeah.
Now, that ties in, because I don't think that in shifting their focus, I think Gaijin ended up splitting their focus between two different things at the same time, and as a result, we have two really nice-looking games within each other, but the structure is like there's no set meta. There's no. It's a giant. From what I've observed, playing in the air, And from what I've gathered from hearsay from other people and reading up on the forums and watching gameplay and yada yada yada, again, please do not assume that I am formulating opinions based, without proper amounts of evidence, because I'm, take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. What you essentially have are two separate parts of the same game that aren't structured well. And what really kind of bugged me about it, and this bugged me from the very start, was just the way they handled the release of it. And I think it's easy for people to look at the way they released tanks through the through the betaception and look at it and just go like, oh well, they're just getting money. And yeah, they're getting money, but they're being smart about the way they're getting the money. It made sense, didn't it? They realized that they looked at, they got the champagne bottle, they shook it up a little bit, and they realized that it was going to blow when they let it go, right? So they realized, off of this hype, we can gain off of this hype. And then they put out the $50 tank packs with the, what was it, like the T-34 prototype and the German. I like saying that because it rolls off the tongue well. And like, it was just so, it just felt weird. It just felt scummy. Like, it felt like they were taking the tanks, and it was like, okay, we're going to put the community on this treadmill here, right? And then we're going to dangle this carrot over them. And then they'll keep running on the treadmill, and then the treadmill will, like, power our company through, like, money. Because people are going to try and play the game, and the more people are playing the game, the more money they're getting because they're going to be investing into it, and they're going to be putting, getting premium time, yeah. The whole shebang. So, I realized that they had to gradually introduce the tanks, so that way, when it came out, it didn't cause a massive storm. But at the same time, like, $50 after... Okay, so it's like, you had this whole thing going on for a month, where you told your community, jump through this hoop, jump through that hoop, jump through this hoop. And then, you go, no take-backs when that month is over. And then you go, okay, well, you weren't really participating for the privilege of getting into the tanks beta. You were doing that for a chance to get into the tanks beta. See how this works. So, you can get into the tanks beta, which is probably going to last about,
we just have to pick you.
5 months or 6 months, but we'll just have to pick you. But, in the event that you don't get picked or you get impatient, here, fork over $50, Blocks. And it's like, really? Really? That's not a beta. That's not how you recruit people for a beta.
Yeah, I will definitely concede
that's not how you do technical testing. That's not a technical test.
No, I will definitely concede that, just trying to basically sell, it's basically selling beta keys. It's like, buy this tank for $50, get in the beta, get the tank. And, and the tank's not worth that much. Like, I really don't think it is. And neither was getting into the beta. And I'm sorry, if you did get those, I just don't feel that they're worth it now. You may have thought they're worth it, and okay. I can see that. I really can.
Please don't think
but I just don't.
A YouTube commentator who supported my stupid videos.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware that all of them paid for access to get to it, or else.
Yeah. But I don't know.
No hard feelings, guys.
No. That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to try to cause any ruckus or anything. But just speaking our minds, and and because some people apparently like to listen to people speaking their minds. Then I don't know. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, I don't like that tactic. I don't think it was very good to do that. I mean, if you're going to have people beta testing it, it should be people that actually are trying to make it better, that are actually trying to get things. And then when they tell you should fix things, you should fix them.
Well, you know, that brings up a really interesting point, because, like, the problem that lied, and this went into the rant that I made a long time, well, like, a few months ago. When you open up the floodgates to anyone that just, like, has a credit card, you're not really inviting people who actually know what they're talking about into the test. You're inviting anybody with a credit card. And that, you have some people who are actually pretty, invested into the game and want to give their feedback and want to help improve the game. And then you have, Tommy, who picked up his mom's credit card, out of her purse when she was out. And then you get the full range of, like, you get the full range of worthwhile feedback. And this is the thing about trying to give feedback in a game. Some people know what they're talking about. Some people don't. And I'm sorry. But there's going to be that one guy who thinks that it's a great idea to completely, like, nerf a particular tank, or, like, buff a particular tank way more than it's needed. There's gonna be criticism or feedback in certain areas that's just not going to be based on anything worthwhile. So what you have is this really, really weird, like, soup of feedback and it's especially on the forums, and I give a lot of credit to the, I know a lot of people like to make fun of the mods on War Thunder, especially the guys, watching this channel, but, like, I give credit to the mods on the forums for having to delve through that mire of feedback, because there's just, you go on there, and it's just, there's a lot of really just, like, huh? And anyone who ever tries to say something on the forums that has, like, some genuine, like, backing to it usually gets ignored because it's too complicated for the simpletons to figure out. So what you get when it finally opens up, which it did, earlier on in the week, is, like, a big giant mess, from what I can observe. And there was a user, yes, that's the proper term. No, but there was a person who commented on my patch 1.41 glorious motherland. That stupid video that somehow is why does this have almost 5,900 views? What is wrong with you people? JK, I love you guys.
I have nothing better to watch.
But
this is possible.
One guy brought up a point in regards to the point that I kind of satirized, where you had the tech tree set up right now because it's just Germany and Russia, and we can get into a whole nother discussion about how a lot of people were expecting to see, like, America, Britain, Japan, all the nations tested out.
We'll forbear that for the moment.
We'll forbear that. And he said, quote, "The IS-3 and IS-4 were major in World War II, but not used in it, just like the Tiger with the 122 mil gun and the Panther with the 88 mil, just prototypes at the time. Same goes for the T-44 and the T-54. So basically, if the war had gone on for a little bit longer, then the tanks would have faced each other, right?
Perhaps.
And that's a good point, but
yeah,
it again goes into this, like, this what if.
Yeah.
And people need to stop doing the what if, because it just confuses things so freaking much. Like, if it's like, what if the war had gone on for another 5 months and we would have seen the like the tortoise for the Brits or something, right? And then you throw in the tortoise because they did actually make it, and there are actually models of it that were built, and they just never saw combat use. And people look at it and they go, "Oh, you can't put it in tortoise because it's a paper tank." And it's like, it's not a paper tank. Yeah, it was a prototype, but I mean, it was made. They made it. It drove places. It's not. Oh, you go back to World of Tanks. Okay. Okay. I mean, you know, we got the Bearcat and you know,
True.
we got the Bearcat and the I-18-5, and then they just kind of look at you real funny, and they don't really say anything.
Yeah.
Because it's like they don't have an argument.
Let's not forget our absolutely wonderful, you know, twin Mustang.
Yeah.
Which,
oh my god.
Well, I mean, you know,
the things I want to say about
never have too much of a good thing, right? So you put two good things together, you get a better thing.
God.
And I understand that it was a design. It's a crazy design, you know, but
there are lots of designs out there. And this is kind of what I like about World of Tanks, right? Like, Wargaming approaches the game like, okay, we recognize that we need to strike a balance between what is going to make sense for the meta of the game and, you know, the attention to history and what it probably, you know, operated like. Because it is being made in the confines of a World War II, you know, historical game, but they also realize that there has to be a balance to it. They have to create something on their own. They have to take it upon themselves to look at something and go, okay, this isn't working, it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Gaijin, in my opinion, have not addressed that properly. And one guy who inserted himself into the conversation that I had just mentioned goes by the YouTube moniker of Mad2 Mike, Maddle Mike.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, Mad Mike. I'm just calling you Mad Mike, okay? In the conversation that we had, one user said they are aiming for balance, Gaijin. They're aiming for balance instead of historical accuracy. Real life wasn't fair either. No one wants a boring game dominated by certain vehicles. So, you know, basically, no one wants to fly a ME-262 versus a MiG-15. And, I said, and I kind of interjected myself into the conversation here. I said, you can have a balanced and historically accurate game. You just got to adjust the numbers and the mission structure accordingly. World of Tanks has a very, you know, it's like, okay, this is the game, right? It's like flag on this side, flag on the other side, 15 players punch each other in the face, or they capture the other flag. Boom. There you go. You know, you have like realistic battles and simulator battles and things of that nature for War Thunder, at least in confines of the air war, and it's like, okay, you know, depending on the map you're on, it's like, blow up these tanks, shoot down this plane, do that. There's an airfield here, and it's like, wait, does all this really like matter if I can just go and punch everybody in the face? Well, I mean, you could punch everybody in the face, but that's the most efficient way, right? Well, yeah, but look at all this cool stuff you can do. Well, I mean, I don't want to do that, though, if that's going to just, you know, it's going to waste my time. And it's like, the mission structure needs to be adjusted, in my opinion. And you can do it. For example, you have American naval pilots during the war in the Pacific. They were under-equipped at the start. They were flying the Wildcat as their staple fighter plane, and that was outclassed in most regards by the Zero. You know, the only thing that was really going for it was its durability. But Japanese pilots, as a result of their own personal preference, and they didn't have good radio equipment, they often hunted on their own. You know, so they would go out and they would kind of have like little patrols on their own. They would, you know, search for enemy planes. And the Americans, whenever they went on the patrol, they countered that. They countered the technological superiority of the Zero with 2-on-1 tactics. Thatch weave, for example. So you can do it. You know, you can strike that balance there. It just depends on how it's structured. You know, I think what Gaijin has neglected to do in their rush to get this out, in their rush to develop this, in their rush, you know, to push this out and get it, you know, so the kids can calm down, is structure. Okay. And this is coming mainly from my perspective, playing a lot of the air war, right? In the air branch, because I'm a flyboy at heart. Again, you have two games. They're in kind of the same, you know, parts of a whole that aren't really there. The there are a lot of components in the airfield that haven't even been finished yet. Like, there were rumors that we were going to get, I don't know if it was confirmed or not, I'd have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure Gaijin said something along the lines of, like, we're going to do an Italian aircraft tree and a French aircraft tree.
Yeah. You
And
made
then-
mention of that in your,
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
fucking
in
video.
the Motherland video. and it was just like, okay, you know, they haven't said anything about it since, so we can pretty much assume that that's just been put on the back burner. There have been so many things just put on the back burner that now it's just like this soup of ideas, and there's no like structure to it. It's like, okay, we're gonna do a historical tiering matchmaking system. You guys done with that yet? We'll get it out. Okay. What about this MiG-3 that I have to fight? We'll take care of that. Okay. So, and again, I'll just conclude this first half of the show with a little discussion from Mad Mike. Here, I told him I would reference it in the show. This is his personal take on the matter as a guy who was in the CBT. I've been in CBT from the first wave on. Most issues we are currently facing were addressed by CBTisters still back in 2013. Going back to what you said about, Gaijin needing to pay attention to what the player base is saying, right?
Right.
After tank packs became available, we kept getting open beta now votes, and the result was about 20-1 that it's not ready, and the overall expectation was around Christmas 2014 could be realistic. Now, that would have gotten a lot of people upset. And I think in that scenario, and again, I know it's pretty funny, coming from a guy in high school criticizing a company that's making a whole lot more money than I am. But I think what I would have done if I was the lead of the dev team there, I just would have said, tough luck. We'll get it out when we get it out. And just wait until it's finished, right? Another example, Mad Mike keeps going on. I was in World of War planes from Alpha on. They jumped it against the advice of the testers. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. War Thunder had the advantage to have the basics done for planes when they were released, just like World of Tanks had the basics done for, tanks, right? Now with tanks, Gaijin made the same mistake as World of War planes, because it was rushed out without even the basics done, and everyone sees it. For low specs, advantage because of foliage, because not one of the dozen suggested fixes has ever been looked at. You have German Tier 1 issues. Mad Mike says he suggested a 88 on the half-track, which was in service during 1939 and forward, as would even the field, allowing Germans to penetrate Soviet tanks while being an easy target and therefore not overpowered. He says it got flamed to death by Soviet tankers because, it's 88 Tier 1, it's OP! And that's exactly, that summarizes the War Thunder forums in, how many words is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 words summarizes the War Thunder forums. OGXOP! Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay, I have a thing for German light tier because I don't really have a light tier. Oh, it's a paper tank, where nothing's gonna get done. Go on.
I'm really getting. I don't understand why they would say that. They have the ZUS 30, which now granted it's not an 88 millimeter gun, but it does have very high penetration for a Tier 1. One that can get through basically any German tank up to, I can shoot a Panther's front with the thing, and get it. But
yeah,
that seems really strange.
And it goes on. He goes on to say, at Tier 5, it was suggested to give the Germans the T-54 for the East Germany and the Patton for West Germany.
Right.
That makes sense. Okay, we already gave him the Saber. Okay. Like, obviously, if
we are going into Korean War era.
Yeah, if you
like
want
planes,
to avoid giving, if you want to avoid throwing in paper tanks, as everyone seems to be so damn scared of, even though we have plenty of paper planes in the game anyway,
Yeah, which is
anyway.
Yeah,
or use the E series, like the E50, instead of projects that were already scrapped because they weren't promising. Now we have that crap, which won't be competitive by a lawn shot. Type 2 versus IS-4. And he goes on to say, Scarper mentioned that an IS-10 is planned. Okay, that thing is so old that they changed the name of it to T-10 because Joseph Stalin died when that thing was in, the development phase of it.
Yeah.
And an IS-10M possible. That's from, the 60s. Hello?
Yeah.
The idiotic physics where 50-ton tanks are light as a buggy and all the other small bugs have all been mentioned months ago. I also said that it's idiotic to have some tanks use an artillery barrage skill if they aren't worth playing without it. They ought to be excluded. And no reaction to that. Suggestions to change the arty skill to something which doesn't involve a scouting drone were done in masses. I also mentioned that it requires extensive changes to make it possible for planes and tanks to get along. And yet, tanks aside, Gaijin has managed to make planes so bad, even World of Warplanes doesn't look all too bad in comparison. And I agree with him on this point. Sure, World of Warplanes is ugly, and its physics are crap. The HP system is different from ours, only that ours is invisible. However, I can jump in any plane in World of Warplanes and be reasonably competitive. Jump into a Focke-Wulf 190 D13 to face jets without any jet on your team, and tell me how nice it is. You have the Spitfire Mark 24 on 5.3, the 190 D13 on 6.0 with a FM that's quite funny. Gaijin even manages to screw up inside one nation's own tree, which is shown quite obvious when looking at the US. The P-39, P-63, or F-4F, F-6F, and F-4U are on the same rating. Brits have a Typhoon 1A rated like a Spitfire Mark 2A. Soviets have an IF-15-3 with 4 30 cal machine guns rated at 2.0 and a MiG-3 late war model with 220 mils that was just added and is about 150 kilometers higher top speed. And the situation for the Axis is too bad to even fit on the comment section. I agree with all of his points. Like, don't you to a degree?
To a degree, yeah.
That's not
absolutely.
really. I'm not trying to ask you a loaded question or anything, but like.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
The only thing I might disagree on is I would not go and play World of Warplanes right now. It's been ruined for me. Like any enjoyment I might get out of it, I just don't think it's possible for me. I understand
I'm probably not going to play. Well, but here's the thing, right? Like, if I had a choice, if someone was just like, hey, Greg, make a competitive gaming clan out of either of these games, War Thunder's Air Forces or World of Warplanes, I'd make it out of World of Warplanes.
Yes.
Because at least World of Warplanes, it's actually structured well, and it has a metagame, and it's set up. You know, you have the core components of a competitive game right there.
True.
You don't have the same thing in War Thunder right now because they're trying to do too much.
Yes.
Too much. So,
but on an individual basis, I enjoy playing War Thunder more than I do World of Warplanes. I have played World of Warplanes, and it feels too much of a grind. It feels too much of, you're not going to enjoy this, but you're going to get to the point where you can enjoy this. So, but with War Thunder, I tend to have fun, more amounts of the time and on a more consistent basis, rather than like say I'm in a Wildcat. I can have fun in the Wildcat and still working my way towards the Hellcat. And I found that out very early on. I thought, early tier Buffaloes. I started out in the American tree, and early tier Buffaloes and things like that. I was like, oh boy, this is probably going to be fun. I'm probably just going to get shot down a bunch, and then just to grind my way up to a decent plane. But I had fun in the low tiers, and that's what I realized is that the low tiers are some of the funnest planes in War Thunder. Which could also probably be a complaint is that the later tiers. I never ran into that problem actually. I never had problems with Chaikas.
Did you ever like fly the Chaika?
I'm
not gonna deny flying the Chaika's pretty dang fun. That's a fun plane.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
But
the I-16. Anyway. But here's the thing, right? And kind of going off topic. Do we really need to take a break? I don't think. I mean, we basically got. I mean, I've already gone down like all of my notes here, so I'm just kind of spieling at this point. But again, it just goes back to what keeps being done with the meta of this game right now. Air Forces. Okay. I guess it would be easy for some people to listen to this and go like, what are they even talking about? What's their point? What are they saying? What is so bad about War Thunder? Why are the Air Forces screwed up? The Air Forces are screwed up because you have okay. And this is why when I made that stupid video that again somehow got almost 6,000 views. When I made the stupid video with the patch 1.41 overview and I went like the battle ratings, it's like you have all of these Russian planes that are getting their battle ratings lowered, and it's like, what? Why are we doing that? I'm confused. Like, why is there a late war MiG-3 model that just got added to the game that has two 20mm cannons that was made in, I think it was, this particular one was like 1943, right? Why is it flying a plane that was flying during the Spanish Civil War back in like 1937? Hold on a second. You know? And this just keeps happening again and again and again and again and again. It's like, you know, it's like the other video I made that announced the podcast. It's like, this is the MiG-15 NS-23. This is the LA-9. This is the new MiG-3. This is the I-18-5. On and on and on and on and on. You know? And you can say it's a fair argument, and I'll give it credit. It's a fair argument to look at why there are so many Russian planes being thrown into the mix with each update that, you know, just kind of come out of nowhere. Like, why do we need this? Because Gaijin is a Russian company, and it's easier to get the documents, and it's easier to talk to the people who, you know, flew it, and yeah. You know, it's easier that way, right? It's more accessible to you. Okay? But that doesn't give you... just because your company is based in Russia does not mean that the Russian planes or the Russian tech should have an easier time. It should be easier to use them, not even based off of like the nature of how they operate, like their plane style. You know, it's like kind of like the KV-1S argument, right? Is the KV-1S overpowered, or is it just easy to play, right? In this case, you have a lot of planes that are just overperforming for their tier. And the more and more stuff they keep adding, and the more and more they keep adjusting the battle ratings, and this like aloof nature that they have with the community when I guess maybe the North American community or I keep thinking North America because of League of Legends or World of Tanks. The English-speaking community, let's go with that. The West, right? Western community. It's like, what's going on with the battle rating? Oh, we don't know. We're adjusting, and they can just like flat out say, like they just put it in the patch notes. It's like we're doing this. What? What are you? Hey, and it's like some guy like puts up a sign on his door like across the street, and it's just like, we're doing this, and he's well aware that people are going to disagree with it, and then you have like another guy from across the street. He's going like, Hey, what? Why are you doing that? Hey, wait, hey, you, what are you, don't, get back here. Why are you and then he gets back in the house and he locks the door and you're just like, well.
Okay.
Stuff just keeps happening to the metagame that is just, it's making it, you know, less fun to play. Because you had like the P63, what was it? Like I don't even know if the P63 got its flight model fixed. I haven't even like kept up on that because I'm just sitting there just like I don't care anymore. Like the Forever Wep on the P63, remember that?
Yeah.
The plane that it was just like, you know, jump through some more hoops and you can get this plane that no one else can have. And it's like, okay, first of all, you're making people jump through hoops, so that's, you know, that's bad. And the plane in question is actually, like, factually, like, objectively speaking, is just overperforming because it has Forever Wep. Did you even check the flight model for this thing before it came out? Like, what the heck? What was it? Like, we had the Beaufighter, we had Attack on Beaufighter for, like, what was it, 3 months, 4 months of the freaking Beaufighter?
At least.
Like, I didn't even play half of the time because of that thing. I was going through like mid-tier Germany at the time, and I was just like, I'm not, no, no, it's, you know, it's no fun. And then we put up with that.
And then there was the debacle that actually affected me was the Typhoon takeoff.
Oh my goodness.
Which I did not understand. Like, I did not realize this because most of the time, you know, I was flying arcade a lot just because I was like, just, you know, quick battles every once in a while. And I usually get shot down. But then, suddenly, a realistic battle appeared. And I was like, full throttle. It's full throttle. And wet. And wet. And why am I not moving? And you would sit there. You wouldn't even move.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, who put
this together?
500,000-pound weights on the back of my plane?
Well, it was like the KI-84. It was like the KI-84.
Yeah.
What was that in 1.39? Was that 1.39 or 1.37?
I
think that was 1.37. I don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
KI-84. But yeah, like they had the KI-84.
Anyway,
it's just
someone tied
hey!
our planes down to the deck, and
Yeah.
we were like, "Who did this?"
Yeah, it's like, hey, Japanese
and then
pilots.
we realized, oh, that's not the problem. Oh.
Yeah.
Boy.
But it's like, oh, hey, Japanese pilots, we're giving you high tier prop planes. Yeah, and they knew that this was something that the Japanese pilots had been waiting for ages to come out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this wing has less lift than the other one for some reason.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
That was silly.
That was
Plain silly.
Jorg back in the office like typed in 4.5 instead of 3.5.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? Like that got it. Why would you? What?
I don't know how on earth that got.
How did that happen? It's like in Battlefield. It's like we keep making this analogy with Battlefield, for like Battlefield and Call of Duty with Wargaming stuff and Gaijin stuff, and it's so true so many times because it's like you had like what was it Battlefield 4? What with the Death Shield? Like you would shoot a guy and then because he was revivable, like his hitbox would like stand there and you would try to like shoot through it, but like the game on the server side registered that the body was still up there, and it would just like you would like block shots, like you would like throw a grenade and then it would bounce back and you'd be like, what the fuck? And Battlefield 3, I mean, gosh, Matt, you and I and a bunch of other buddies back on our Xbox 360 days, we were playing Battlefield 3 quite a lot.
Yeah.
And there was like, what was it, like the USAS 12 with the frag rounds, like it was...
Oh, gosh.
For context,
Don't remind me, it gives me nightmares.
Context for viewers who didn't play that game, a fully automatic shotgun, and by fully automatic, I don't mean like pow, pow. I'm talking like pow,
I mean like
fully automatic
like
shotgun
500 rounds per minute
with explosive rounds, like explosive slugs that have the power. It was like a freaking like 20mm cannon in your hands.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous. And then you had there was no excuse for that. I mean, in context, like
they didn't fix it for forever.
Like yeah, it took them like a month or two to actually address it.
Yeah. And people were complaining about it for, like, eons. And then they realized, we should fix this.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Which is a bit synonymous to Gaijin. And
it's like, okay, the first time that happens, it's like, okay, it's all right. Gosh, you guys have been silly.
whatever.
Come on, guys.
But when it's this many things...
When it's like one occurrence, you can look at it and be like, come on, guys, get your act together, and you can laugh it off, right? And then it just keeps happening and happening and happening and happening. You're just like, you eventually realize, these guys don't give a shit. I mean, it's like the M26 Dart, Battlefield 3.
Oh.
That.
Why? Why?
The dart gun fires at the same caliber as the actual gun that it's attached to. I mean, who screwed that up? Who coded that? Who screwed that up? And again, it's like you had every patch, every single patch with War Thunder. You know that there's going to be a flavor of the month.
Yeah.
And it's not even that, like, subtle either. It's like, this is blatantly overpowered. Like, how did this happen? Wait, what?
I wish they would take the time,
Slow
I'll say that
down!
Wargaming does this very well. They have, like, these major patches, like this recent one, and then they have more minor patches where they fix a lot of stuff. And that's like the main purpose
isn't even like adding a whole lot of new tanks right now. Like they had one of their most major updates, 9.0. Did they add a single tank?
Yeah, I want to say yes, possibly.
The SU-85L.
Don't quote. Yeah, the
It might have been
Panzer III.
And I think the
this is
SU-85L
whatever.
like showed up for the sale later. But they
Anyway.
didn't really add any tanks.
But no. It was mainly the HD renderings, a few the historical battles, and probably some fixes and different things like that. But that was it. I mean, it wasn't the biggest update you could possibly do, but it was definitely a momentum swinging one. And then 1.41, they're throwing in tanks, which I'm fine with. I know a lot of people are having issues with tanks, but I'm fine with tanks on its own. I know there's still bugs. I know there's still things that are just stupid. But for the most part, I'm fairly happy with it.
Matt. Gosh.
But for the most part, I'm fairly happy with it. Planes, they need to stop adding aircraft.
Stop
and
content
fix
production.
the ones that they have.
Slow down.
Right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
twin
that's all I'm saying,
Mustang
is just
should
slow
not
down.
be in this game. Things like that should not be in this game until they've figured out the flight models to all their other aircraft. And they fixed every other problem with their other aircraft. Okay? I like seeing
got a
cool
comment.
things like that.
I got a comment from a guy who said that, like, so the MiG-15 got nerfed, well, not nerfed, but tweaked in 1.39 to a more accurate flight model, right? Then they reverted it back to the flight model it was at in 1.41. And now people are complaining about the MiG-15 again.
Yeah.
It's like someone got Bjork got into the office one day and he's just like, okay, is anyone looking? Okay. And he runs out of the office, laughing.
It's kind of
It's like a
kind
little
of
gremlin got into the
like
office and then like modified the code while no one was looking and then ran out. I mean,
it's kind of like showing a dog like the ball and being like, you see the ball? You see the ball? You like put it behind your back and then they can't find it for like forever and then they throw it and then they just throw it and you're like, what? What? It was there the whole time? What? It's there? Wait, it's here? It's back? What? I mean, like really? You fix something and then no one complains about it again and then suddenly you put it back in, it's like nobody will notice, and then everybody notices. I mean,
and then they approach you about it, and then it's like you call them on the phone, and it's just like, sorry, the Gaijin CEO is not in the office today. It's like, sorry, Mr. Slavovich is not in the office today. It's like you're talking to a wall. It's like yelling at the guy across the street. It's like, hey, how are you doing? Stop it! And then he just, gets back in the house and just locks it. And you're like, okay,
yeah.
well, fuck. I think honestly, like, the only community left in War Thunder at this point, and please don't let this, I don't want this show to turn into just like, hey guys, this is what's wrong with War Thunder today. Like, that's not supposed to be the point of the show, but like, I think the only community that War Thunder really has left at this point, from what I've observed, is, people like you, Matt, who like the tanks, and people who are, like, just, like, stupidly dedicated. I shouldn't say stupidly, because that would, dog on people who are still playing the
fanatically.
game. And that's not, fanatically, like, devoted to the game, or they're like YouTube producers and they're they have like a content schedule to live up to, and people like that, like people who are just like, they have no idea what's actually wrong with it, and or maybe they're masochistic, or maybe they're holding out for another like miracle patch. I mean, I was voicing my concerns on the forums for the longest time, like, I mean, Matt, you and a couple other buddies were the common recipient of some of my debacles on the War Thunder forums, right? And like, I was, I was vocal about it. I would go on there and I would say, okay, like this is what is wrong right now and needs to be addressed. And I was holding out for this patch, this miracle patch, for the longest time. And then 1.37 came out, and I'm just like, okay. I have other, it's a video game. It's a freaking video game. There are other things that I can occupy my time with, But, I think that's, if I was the dev team for Gaijin right now, like, I find it kind of funny. Maybe Gaijin will have, like, a Microsoft deal, like what they did with the Xbox One. Like, remember the guy at E3 for Xbox One, where he was just like, well, there is a console for people who don't have, an internet connection. It's the Xbox 360, that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they fired his ass. I'm pretty sure they fired his ass. But he's gone. Phil Spencer is in there now, and he's just like, I'm ready to go. It's just like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with Xbox? Games. Drop a mic. What? He's taking the helm. He's ready to go. He's going. And maybe something like that'll happen to Gaijin. I don't know. But,
I would like for something like that to happen.
I would
really
like that too. I would. Because this game has a lot of potential, and there's a lot you can do with it. But again, going back to what I was saying earlier, if I was the dev lead right now, I would get everybody together and I'd be like, okay, what is this game going to look like in a year? Are people going to be playing this in a year? What are they going to like about it? What are they going to have their time invested into? Are we going to have a competitive community? Why is the competitive community interested? Stop. Okay. Ease on the gas a little bit, like you said. Slow down. Stop putting in crap. Stop making stuff. Stop making carrots.
Yes.
Stop making carrots and sit down and go, this is what we want the meta to look like.
Yeah.
Right? And, okay, you're a Russian company. You can have your fun. You can have that one goofy tank that is, like, stupidly overpowered at that particular tier and no one will talk about it. You can have that. You can have your fun. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But, like, don't do that for every single tier.
Yeah.
Just sit down and look at what the community is saying, including your English-speaking community, okay? Look at what everyone is saying about the game, what they want, what they think should be done with the structure of the game, like the tiering system, right? And get that finished. Get that done,
Mm-hmm.
get your structure sorted out, and then you can start putting in content. Use the dev server more. Use the dev server more.
Please.
This is the thing that, like the most frustrating thing about it is that, like, it's like, okay, we have a dev server. This is not a dev server. It's early access to the patch before it comes out, so that the YouTubers can get on there and go like, oh hey, this my name is something or other, another YouTube commentator, and this is the F-26 McDougal fighter twin engine fighter aircraft, and then they fly the thing around a little bit, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of fast. It can go in circles. It has guns on it. It's got 6, 50. It's like, that's all it really serves to do, because it's over in like 5 days. That's all you can really do with it. You go up on the dev server forums, and it's just like, okay, I don't agree with that. It's out. Okay. Like with World of Tanks, you have the public test server, right?
Yep.
And it's like, you can play everything. You can play all the content, so that way you can get a full understanding of how a change in the game is going to influence the sandbox as a whole from your personal account. From your personal experience, you can make an educated decision about it. Right? And that makes sense. It's like you have a whole new line of tank destroyers, right, for Germany that came out a while ago. The Waffle House. The Waffle House. Comically call it that. But you had the Waffle House come out, like the open top tanks, and you could play those if you wanted to. You didn't have to like go through the progression system. You could go like, okay, I want to try this out. Okay, and we can get mad about the Waffenträger E100 and why that's overpowered, and the problem with the Waffenträger like pales in comparison to the host of things going on with War Thunder.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one tank compared to a whole tree.
It's one stupid tank that someone kind of overlooked, and they were just like, But here's the thing, right? The problems that currently impact World of Tanks meta aren't that easy to figure out. I mean, like, we were talking about the KV-1S in the last episode, right? again,
Right.
it's like, is the KV-1S overpowered, or is it easy to play? What do we do with the KV-1S to, you know, make it more balanced? Do we take off the gun, but then people aren't going to want to play the tank? So we nerf the gun, but it still has that, like, you know, it's still there, so people are going to probably be a little bit, you know, ambivalent about it, and they're not going to be too fond. So, you know, what are we going to do with it? And I think, what was the final result? Like, they were going to take the KV-1S out and then, like, replace it with the KV-85?
The rumor is now that the KV-1S is going to be split into the KV-85 and the KV-122. And basically, they're going to keep the gun on the KV-122. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's going to be split into 3. That's the rumor. Now, I don't know if this is right, but there is going to be the KV-1S, and it's going to be Tier 5, and it's going to basically just be the KV-1, except slightly less armored and faster. And then there's going to be the KV-85 and the KV-122 at Tier 6. The KV-85 having the 85mm gun, KV-122 having the 122mm gun that's on the KV-1S now. And,
Okay.
well...
So the Tier 6 Russian Heavy is, like, well, the alternative to the KV-2 is still going to be, like, the baby IS, right? Still going to be, like, the precursor to the IS.
The KV-122, yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Except it's going to be slow.
Because, I mean, well,
Which
I mean,
I
like,
think
like
the main...
The top KV-1S is pretty much, like, the fully upgraded, that's the IS turret on it, is it not?
Practically.
Yeah.
The main complaint is that the KV-1S, not only does it have the gun is not the only complaint. It's that it is fast and has that gun. Like, it can shift. It is not the fastest tank, you know, on the battlefield. But for a heavy tank, it can move. So the complaint is basically that it's fast and powerful. They're going to split up the speed of it and bring it down to Tier 5, and the firepower and keep that at Tier 6. So I imagine the KV-122 is probably going to be a bit slower of a tank, more sluggish, but it'll have the armor of the KV-1 rather than the KV-1S, which, granted, isn't that much of a difference. But, you know, the speed will definitely be the main factor here. And I'm not sure what to think of the KV-85.
Well, you know, it's funny because we can have that. We can have that conversation. We can have that intelligent conversation about, like, okay, so, you know, there are a couple of factors here that we kind of need to tweak to, you know, appease everybody, right? You know, make sure a whole lot of people complain. We can't take the thing out right completely because, you know, it's a complicated matter. And then you have War Thunder, and it's like there's a plane at this tier that has 20mm cannons, and no one else has 20mm cannons, and it's really fast.
Yeah, like, I mean...
Downgrade it! Like, that's all you have to... That's the end of the discussion. It's like, this is overperforming, bump it down. Like, or bump it up. Like,
yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
I mean,
it's like, there are just so many of these
yeah.
issues that are just being completely overlooked and ignored. And it's
Yeah.
like, what the hell are you guys doing?
They're so simple. Those are so simple to fix, I think. I mean, they may be more complicated than we're making them out to be, but they're certainly not as complicated as the KV-1S. You know, because there's endless discussions about it, about whether, you know, it's like, oh, it's overpowered. Well, you know, maybe, or maybe just a lot of people play it, or maybe it's easy to play, or, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's much more complex in my mind than looking at a tier and then picking out, you know, a plane on that tier that is performing better, you know, just based on the data you've collected, is performing better than all the other ones, and based on the armament that it has. That seems much more simple to me than dealing with a tank like that.
It's the pilot, not the plane that counts, Matt.
Oh, absolutely. You know, if I took
an
F-86 Sabre and flew it against a Chaika, absolutely, the Chaika has a 50-50 chance of shooting me down. For sure.
I'm sure the Red Baron would look at the F-35 and he could be like, you know, I can take that out with my Fokker triplane. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, you know, hey, if we could resurrect Baron von Richthofen and bring him up and, you know, bring him over here and be like, hey, you like flying planes? Yeah, sure. Play our flight sim. It's like flying a plane, but kinda, you know. And we put him in like his Fokker triplane and he'll be like, oh man, it's so cool, you know, it's like I'm actually flying it, you know, and all that good stuff. And then all of a sudden the jet comes screaming out of nowhere and then just annihilates him with like one burst of machine gun fire. He goes, what the heck was that? And they go, oh, that's the jet. What's a jet? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. There's a balance. There's a balance you have to strike.
There is. There really is. I mean, I'm not saying that, the machine is entirely the reason that you're going to win a fight. I'm not saying the pilot is entirely the reason you're going to win a fight.
Well,
It
there are
is
so many
the
counts
combination
in,
of both.
history. And again, this is another argument that people make that makes me want to punch them in the face whenever they say it. It's like, okay, like, gosh dang it, I forgot his name. The highest scoring ace of all time. What was his name?
Oh, Gerhard Barkhorn.
Barkhorn.
Or no, I'm sorry.
Wait, not
No.
Barkhorn.
Pardon me. Excuse me. Do not.
He was the guy on the Eastern Front.
Well, Gerhard Barkhorn was on the Eastern Front, and he was one of the other really great aces. Yeah. Daggone. Why am I forgetting this? All right, this is what happens. We don't talk about these things in advance, and then he like throws. He's like, Matt, answer a history question. I'm like,
I'm looking it up. Well, it's off the cuff. It's whatever.
I know.
Eric Hartman. Eric Hartman.
I should know it. Thank you.
Eric Hartman. Okay.
We should have just thought South Park.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Dang it.
No, but Eric Hartman even said, like, okay, this is the guy who flew over 1,400 combat missions and participated in aerial combat on 825 separate occasions. He claimed and was credited with shooting down 352 planes.
That includes like eight IL-2s.
352 planes.
That includes a crap load of ILs. That's a lot of bombers.
Okay, and this guy. Okay, this guy, when he was with the West German Air Force, he looked at the F-104 Starfighter and he was just like, "This is a piece of crap. This is a piece of crap. We're not flying this. It's a piece of crap." Okay, the most decorated fighter pilot in the history of the world said, "This is a piece of crap, I'm not flying it." Okay? That just proves, right, that a pilot, a good machinist, or any good operator of a machine recognizes exactly what his machine can and can't do.
Yeah.
And, you can't really use the argument, people like to use the argument, it's the pilot, not the plane, all the time whenever someone approaches them and goes like, this isn't right, this is overperforming. And it's like,
yeah.
Okay, by that logic, we should just not do anything at all. We should just leave it completely as is. We should just not, I don't know. It's annoying. It's annoying.
I know, but I would say this. I would say the machine never makes the pilot, but the pilot can make the machine.
The pilot can make the machine.
It takes a skilled pilot using good equipment to make a good fighter and or bomber or whatever it is.
It's a balance between the two.
It is, and yeah. That's as much as I can say on it, really.
And, I guess we're just about wrapped up, but I guess we can conclude with a couple of notes here. I put up a poll recently, sneaky, on the forums.
You didn't tell me.
Once again. Well, it was because about the T-50, and we kind of had that whole discussion about the T-50. Remember?
Oh, right. We already had that discussion.
Yeah, we already had that argument. That was just like, those are 20mm guns. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. No.
That's a case of the machine actually not being capable.
Yeah, we were the T-50, which is considered like the super like SEAL Club Deluxe baby kicking deluxe
Tier 1.
of the the Russian line, right?
Yeah.
This is the poll I got, and now I know some people will probably look at this and go like, well, Mr. Haven, the thing that you fail to realize is that in order to get a more proper polling result, it has to be over 100 people to participate. Shut up. Okay. Okay, so these are the questions I asked, right? Balance-wise, how do you think the T-50 is? And from bottom to top, because suspense, because I think the top one's quite creative.
Okay.
Okay, so it goes from like horrible to like It's like so the first one, it's horrible. You got two people who say it's horrible. It needs a really big buff. No one says it's a tad bit underperforming or needs a slight buff. Okay. 9 people say it's fine where it is, no tweaks needed.
Okay.
11 people say it's a bit too powerful, needs a slight nerf. And 13 people say it's OP, adamantium, plated death on treads, needs a huge nerf. That's 13 people. And then it goes on. If you said it was underperforming, what's the most glaring problem? 10 people said, I said the tank was fine. 21 people said that the tank was overperforming in some way, shape, or form. No one's really advocating a buff of this thing at this point.
Did they specify? Like, I'm
They
assuming
did.
they're probably talking about the armor.
They did, and I'm going on. If you said it was overperforming,
Okay.
what's the most glaring problem? 8 people said the tank was fine. 2 people said it was underperforming. 1 person said the handling needs to be adjusted. No one said anything about the
Okay.
armament. 13 people said something about the armor, and 11 of them said the battle rating needs to be adjusted. Now, I'm not too keen on the armor argument, but I think the armor at its tier is a tad bit much from what I can observe.
I would agree.
And this seems to be a thing that a lot of German tankers are complaining about at early tiers, is that they don't have an effective means of penetrating the sloped armor at early tiers, right? So, and again,
it's mainly the reserve tanks can't do crap. The big old howitzers cannot do anything. In theory, the 37 millimeters on the 38T, the 3E, those should be able to, and also in theory, the Stug can. But for anything at its battle rating, comparably in Germany,
and this is another point that I was going to make, right, about how you have Germany and Russia for the tanks, right? We have these balance issues going on, to a minor degree, with tanks right now, right, with Russia and Germany. What in the actual flip is going to happen when we throw in America, Britain, and Japan?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, there are people already complaining about the M4 Sherman. They think, a lot of people say that the M4 Sherman
the Lend-Lease, actually not the Lend, but
the captured Sherman
stolen.
for Erman German Sherman is under tiered.
Herman Sherman.
Herman German Sherman is under tiered.
All right.
We already got all
and
this.
That's possible too. I've not driven. Well, I've test driven the tank, but I don't know.
And again, you're gonna, the more content they put out, the more they're gonna have to focus on structure. You got to structure. STRUCTURE. You have to have it. Okay, like World of Warplanes doesn't have that much content in it to get. All right, you have like Germany with a couple lines here, America, yeah. But it's structured. It has an end game point. You have a competitive side to it. It's set up. Now all they need to do is just kind of buff it up a little bit and then improve the presentation quality of it, I think. I think World of Warplanes suffers from the inverse of what Ground Forces does. So, I guess at the end of the day, all we can really say is, Gaijin, hey, tanks look great. Fix the rest of your game blocks.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please fix error. That's what you started out with. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we really have that much else to talk about, really. We're probably about an hour in.
At least.
So, Matt, any concluding notes?
I think you about covered it. Gaijin, please fix our internet planes.
Please.
Your tanks are off to a pretty decent start.
Stop ruining my internet planes.
Yeah, stop ruining Greg's internet planes.
I mean, I can get my internet planes in a different form. I got a Bala Stalingrad that I'm very eager to check out. Once it comes out of the early access phase, or once it's up for purchase. And this isn't a criticism of early access. Calm down, calm down. You know, drop your pitchforks. But I'm very eager to play that. But yeah, I mean, focus. It's a matter of focus, right? You need to strike a balance between structure and fun. I think what Gaijin is focusing too much on is just like, look at how beautiful this is. It is beautiful game. Look at glory. Look at this tank. Isn't it lovely? T-35. Glorious Russian tank. It's multi-turret today. Look at this shit, man. They can turn it all of its turrets at once. They can fire all of its turrets at once. Isn't that awesome? And then it's like, wait, what about the rest of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, please. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the second episode of Russian Bias. We'll see where it goes from here. Oh, wait. No, Matt. We forgot one thing.
Okay.
Japan got what they've been asking for a long time. They got cockpits. Everything we just said is irrelevant now. Because,
absolutely, they have
because they added
cockpits.
cockpits for the KF-45.
They've got ME-410 cockpits.
Okay,
oh my gosh, the heavy fighters.
Everything you guys
heavy
just
fighters
listened to
have
is completely
cockpits.
irrelevant.
Everything is forgiven. Everything is forgiven.
Everything
like
is forgotten.
That did it. That does it.
Gaijin starts
I
off
can
on
look
a clean
around.
slate now.